Hello and welcome to Heritage Foundation. Thank you for your patience. I'm Andrew Parks, the program coordinator for lectures and seminars, and we'd like to thank you all for joining us today in the Lewis Lehrman Auditorium. I wanted to take the opportunity to remind folks attending in person to turn off cell phones as a courtesy to those recording today's event and to our speaker. For those watching online, you're welcome to submit questions by emailing speaker@heritage.org. Speaking to us today is Nick Adams. He's an internationally known conservative Australian speaker, lecturer, media commentator, and best-selling author. He's best known for his work in the field of American exceptionalism, which is the topic we'll hear him discuss today. His book, The American Boomerang, How the World's Greatest Turnaround Nation Will Do It Again. Having authored 3 books, he concludes that American success, power, and influence of today rest strongly in the virtues and values of America's founding. He travels the globe to meet with leaders and help spread the ideals of individual liberty, economic freedom, rule of law, and family values, attributes he considers central to American exceptionalism, and encouraging Americans to remain true to them. He's an advocate of Christian leadership. He has accomplished much at his young age, including holding elected office as the youngest deputy mayor in Australian history in Sydney at the age of 21. Among his other accomplishments, he's received several awards, most notably being appointed an honorary Texan by Governor Rick Perry in 2013. Please join me in welcoming Nick Adams.
Well, a very big thank you to Andrew for that marvellous introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, what a tremendous honour, pleasure and privilege it is to be here at the Heritage Foundation, the premier think tank in the world. And can I tell you, you'll be hearing a lot about American exceptionalism today, but there is really no finer embodiment of American exceptionalism than the Heritage Foundation, because in no other country would an organisation like the Heritage Foundation have the success, the longevity, and even the existence that it has in this country. So it is a reflection of the American people, the American culture, and the American psyche. And I am so deeply grateful and humbled by this incredible opportunity to come here and speak to all of you and all the people that are joining us today right around the world. This is a very special trip for me. I've brought my beautiful mother with me, and she has been on a whirlwind tour with me so far. We've seen a lot of America, and we just got into the nation's capital yesterday, and I can tell you that she is a big fan. So we, of course, were greeted by some very cold weather, I'm sure you would agree, in the last couple of days. But nevertheless, we really have enjoyed each and every single moment. To my father, who I know is staying up very late and watching this live, probably in bed, I would like to say a big hello to him. I know that he's very proud of me being here today and wishes he could join in person, but I'm very thankful that he sent my mother to be with me, and that's really been a great help. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to acknowledge some of the people that are here today, some very special friends of mine. I first visited the Heritage Foundation in 2009, which it's 5 years ago now, and I was struck by the majesty of the building and the incredible spirit and the people that work here. And it was Nancy Tice who drove me here for my very first visit, and she is here in the front row today, and that means the world to me. The host for my first visit was Mr. Tom Qualtaire, who used to work in Dr. Faulkner's office, and he has been an incredible friend to me, and I really appreciate his presence here today. And we're finally here, we've done it, so it's a magnificent occasion. I need to pay tribute as well to Dr. Faulkner, who has been a marvellous support for me over the years. He has endorsed everything so enthusiastically that I have done. He's been one of my greatest champions, and I'm very proud of all the endorsements I have for my book, but I'm most proud of the endorsement that Dr. Faulkner, the founder and immediate past president of the Heritage Foundation, provided when he referred to me as the de Tocqueville traveller of our times. So I was honoured to receive such an endorsement from such a patriotic warrior for liberty and such an established scholar in the field of conservatism and American exceptionalism. Ladies and gentlemen, I also need to thank Robert Steele, who was instrumental in making sure that this event happened here today as well. And I want to thank Andrew again for that introduction and being such a lovely host. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to discuss the American Boomerang, which is a book that just came out yesterday, in fact. And it is a book that makes the case for American greatness. It is a book that attempts to explain convincingly why the American value system is the greatest hope for humanity. I believe that the best and only answer to a better world is the American value system, and nothing approaches the American value system as that best hope for humanity. I'm here to give Americans optimism at a time when there are so many slumped shoulders from east to west and from north to south. And I must say that as an American, if I were an American, I would also feel that there is not much reason to be hopeful. I think it is indisputable that America is in decline as we speak. But decline, I believe, is a choice. It's not a condition. And decline can be reversed. And a lot of America's current ailments are a result, I think, of policy failures. So to use an Australian term, I think that America can boomerang, provided it re-embraces the values and the virtues of its founding principles and its history. And I am encouraged, as you should be, that throughout history, whenever America has been under attack, whenever freedom has been under attack, whenever America has been written off, America has responded to that call, and it has bounced back better and bigger than ever before. Things like the early defeats by Britain in the War of Independence, the loss of the Philippines, Pearl Harbor, and even September 11 are great examples of moments when people thought that America was finished, people thought that America had surpassed its due date, and yet America came back stronger than it had been before. And it was actually on September 11 that my thoughts about America truly crystallised. I remember sitting at home in Australia. I was just turned 17 and watched in horror as these horrific planes were flying into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And I remember thinking that history has a very unique way of bestowing a role upon a generation. And I had this epiphany at that point that it was the role of my generation to stand up and protect America, to stand up and defend America, because America and Western civilization itself was under attack. And we had to do everything that we could to ensure that America remained in the role that it has always been in for as long as we can remember. There has never been a nation like America. In 5,000 years of recorded human history, America stands alone in the three basic waves of human innovation, from the agricultural to the industrial to the technological age. America has led each and every single one of those. When we talk about America's inventive genius, Almost everything we use every day is an American invention. The United States military were responsible for the internet and email and GPS. And even today, Silicon Valley here in the United States is in charge of really everything that the world uses. So American exceptionalism is not a hypothesis. American exceptionalism is not some kind of subjective judgment. American exceptionalism, I think, is entirely indisputable. And yet the case for American exceptionalism and American greatness is seldom made. The mainstream media, even in America, run a protection racket for the anti-American agenda. And frankly, I think that is nothing short of treasonous. I thought it was high time for an outsider to speak to America and to Americans' hearts and to outline to them what I believe makes their country great. It was Alexis de Tocqueville that came to America, and he observed what made America distinct from his country of France and from the old nations of Europe. And since that time, there has been a significant dearth of outsider observance of America. Many of you might wonder why an Australian with a funny accent would want to write about America and write a book about American greatness, and why an Australian would even care what happens to America. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to that is very simple. What is good for America is good for the world. When America is strong, the world is strong. When America is weak, the world is weak. When America is weak, the world is dangerous. The less powerful America is, the more harmful the world will be. And that's why I believe that it is in the interests of everyone, no matter where they live, to stand up and fight for America. Let us just imagine for one fleeting moment the consequences of a fallen America, or a so greatly weakened America that it would not be able to serve in the leadership role that it has. Terror, tyranny and torture would reign. Individual liberty would be gradually extinguished. Think about the fate of nations such as Israel, South Korea, Taiwan. Think about how tyrants in Africa would be emboldened, even more so than they are now. Think of a world where terrorists would have nobody capable of subduing them. A world without America is an unconscionably dark world, and one that we don't even want to contemplate. It is absolutely no surprise to me that at the same time that America is retreating in the world and dismantling its military, that China and Russia are on the advance. Weakness we have seen throughout history is provocative. Weakness invites aggression. And what we are seeing in a weakened America, led by an administration that is seeking to minimise American presence and American exceptionalism in the world, we are seeing that void being filled by far less desirable people. And under the Obama administration, America has gone walkabout. And it is a tragedy to see other countries and far less desirable leaders now being able to act almost with impunity. And that is something that we cannot tolerate. The unfortunate reality for Americans who are now war-weary, the unfortunate reality is that there is only one nation capable of being the guardian against chaos, capable of being the keeper of civilization, and that is the United States of America. We wouldn't want anybody else doing that. We wouldn't want the United Nations in that role. We wouldn't want China in that role. We wouldn't want Russia in that role. The only country with the inherent goodness and with the moral foundings to be able to serve in that position is the land of the free and the home of the brave. But the American value system can only be preserved if Americans believe in it. And one of the things that is so unfortunate right now is that so many Americans either don't believe in the American value system anymore, they have forgotten it, or they don't understand it. And my book seeks to outline to Americans what I believe constitutes the American value system. Because the sad truth is that in schools and in universities, there is a whole generation of Americans that have never been taught what it means to be an American, what those values are and what is distinctive about those values. American exceptionalism is not something easy to define, but I think the best and most pithy explanation is this. It's optimism, not pessimism. It's patriotism, not relativism. It's faith, not secularism. It's life, not death. It's e pluribus unum, not multiculturalism. It's individualism, not collectivism. It's equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. They are the things that have made America so different. They are the things that have catapulted America to incredible heights. And they are the values that will see America boomerang back to greatness. So what will it take for America to boomerang? What needs to happen? In my book, I outline very clearly what I believe needs to happen. I think that Americans need to unite behind a consensus-inspiring agenda. And that agenda must be ending the waste, paying back the debt, axing political correctness, limiting the government, protecting the borders, preserving Judeo-Christian values, ending the culture of entitlement, cutting taxes, exercising fidelity to the Constitution, and keeping the peace by unquestioned military advantage. If America can do that, if Americans can get behind that agenda, then I believe that you will preserve the American dream for another 200 years at least. Economically, I'm often asked what America has to do to get back. And again, in my book, I outline 5 simple things that I believe Americans must do in order to get their economy back to Reagan-era growth. They need to stop spending so much money. They need to repatriate the almost $3 trillion that American corporations hold overseas by waiving the 35% tax rate that exists, by getting those companies to bring that money back to America to create jobs and to invest and to innovate. America needs to exploit the energy resources that are beneath her very feet. It needs to become energy independent. These are things that will see America, again, have the envy of the world for its economy, because economic might and economic prowess lie at the heart of the American success story. The left right around the world have embraced anti-Americanism, and indeed anti-Americanism is central to the left. And it's central to the left because America represents everything that the left isn't. America is a conservative oasis in the world's socialist desert. The American experiment, as improbable as it was and as it remains today, America is the antithesis of the left. America is a conservative idea, and it is the scar on the left's Mona Lisa. America is proof positive that American values work, that conservative ideas work, and it is why America draws the ire of the left right around the world. Anti-Americanism is as rampant as it is because the world's thinking is informed by the morally confused. So it's no surprise that the world's thinking is morally confused when it is informed by the morally confused. You're going to believe whatever you read and hear and see. And that's what we have right now, right around the world. No matter where you go, you hear about how bad America is, how awful America is, how much it has to apologise for. Nothing could be further from the truth. America is not perfect, but it is the best thing that we have. When America has not lived up to its noblest values, when it has not lived up to its value system, that has not been proof that the American value system isn't the greatest in the world. That has just been proof that Americans are flawed. Slavery blighted the moral landscape, but then America went on to provide the country that gives the most possibility and the most freedom to any black person. And that's an example of how America is able to correct itself. This was first identified by Alexis de Tocqueville in Democracy in America, when he noted that Americans had this remarkable ability to go a certain way and then have to change course. Winston Churchill famously said that America always does the right thing after having exhausted every other option. And so all of these things, I believe, should give Americans hope about their future, should provide Americans the optimism that they need right now, because despair is not only unattractive, it's un-American. And America needs to believe in itself if it is going to get out of the malaise that it finds itself in. And that's precisely what the American Boomerang is all about. It's about trying to get Americans to understand that despite all of their current ailments, despite everything that afflicts them right now, despite feeling that there is no hope and that America is beyond repair, America remains, even right now, the greatest country in the world by far. The question is, though, do you want to be the smartest kid in the dumb class? Does America want to be the one-eyed man in the blind country? And I would posit that America needs to be the best of the best, because anything less will have disastrous consequences for the rest of the world. And Americans cannot be subdued by the politically correct elites that seek to weaken America to serve their own ends, that seek to undermine the self-confidence of America and Americans right around the world. I want Americans to embrace their success. I want Americans to embrace their history. I want Americans to embrace their way of life, because they truly are the envy of the world. If America was as bad as everyone says that it is, it would not have the problems at its border right now that it has. That is an example and a demonstration to all Americans of how much other people want to be in this country because of what America offers. You've only ever heard of the American dream. You haven't heard of the Chinese dream or the Norwegian dream. It's always been the American dream, and that is for good reason, because America has provided to the world the best opportunity for people to realise their dreams. And let's have a look for one moment. If it's not the American value system, what other value system will we embrace? Should we embrace the European? Should we embrace the Islamist value set? America is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Europe is about debt, deficit, and the pursuit of dependency. And an Islamist's view is death, power, and the pursuit of that power. So there is absolutely no reason why we should not seek to maximise American exceptionalism on the world stage, because America is the greatest hope for this country. And this is what I make very clear in my book, where I discuss a whole range of different things, ranging from the love of the military to patriotism to the culture of exceptionalism and to what I think America needs to do to get back. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have, and I look forward to visiting with each and every single one of you following this. Thank you, and God bless America.
Nick, thank you so much. That was excellent. I really appreciate it. We have some time now for questions. If you could raise your hand, wait until the microphone gets to you, and identify yourself and any organization. Sure, go ahead. Right here. You're welcome to go ahead and ask your question. Sorry about that.
Yes, so first of all, thank you very much about your work and your dedication, because this is also a subject that myself I'm very interested in. I have many writing but not published, and I'm very interested about what America is about, because I'm a student of spirituality, and I know that this aspect is not very well known, but it is behind all American greatness. The people who trained the founding fathers are spiritual masters. And our problem today is we don't have a lot of philosophers. The founding fathers were philosophers, was people who were trained to know the law of nature, how nature works, and how to apply it concretely to concrete situation. And it's a problem that we don't have enough of them. But I consider you and many other people as member of this great family who think this way, and who can have who can give many insight and many hope. I just want to make 2 or 3 points and ask you a question.
If you could make it very brief and get to the question, please.
Okay. I just wanted to remind that the revolution that happened, if you consult an author whose name is, sorry for the an author talked about George Washington and the revolution before it happened, and it came to happen just as it was said. This is to say that what we call exceptionalism, it's what mindful people put into practice to create this country. This country is not created the same way the other country has created. And what is happening now, people don't understand, is the fact that the law of rhythm that wants that everything have a birth, a growth, and a death is what is happening. And so the only way to go back, as you say, to the boomerang, is to understand this principle and to restart a new birth.
Okay, thank you very much. Nick, if you respond.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for coming here today and asking that question. You're absolutely right. The Christian faith lies at the very heart of the American exceptionalism web, and it is the Christian faith that provides the backbone for everything, all of the values that I discussed, whether it is the gratitude of Americans, whether it is the optimism of Americans, all of that does go back to the very religious nature of America, and it's worthwhile pointing out that America is the most religious industrialised country in the world by far. Pew Research last year revealed that 49% of Americans identify as going to church at least once a week, whereas the rest of the Western world, even in America's English-speaking cousins like Australia and Canada and New Zealand, that figure hovers between 9 and 15%. So let's just think for one moment the difference that would make on a culture. And you're 100% accurate when you say that it is the founding of America that makes it different. And I would say that it is the religious nature of America and the American founding. Americans believe that their rights come from God and are inalienable. And it is true that no other country has had the founding of America, which is why America has been able to go on and do the incredible things that it has done. So it's time to really embrace that, I believe. And, John Andrew, it's a very clear thing, I believe, that exists in America, that religious spirit, that robust Christianity, and it undergirds everything.
Here in front.
Hi, my name is Robert Smith. I work for Congressman Mike Kelly. Alexis de Tocqueville opens democracy in America by noting the equality of conditions. And today we see that income inequality is part of our national debate. What do you think that says about the state of the American dream today?
Look, that's another wonderful question. And can I tell you that one of the things about American exceptionalism is that America has always seen the world in very black and white terms. And that makes it different to every other country. Americans have always seen the world in terms of good and evil, right and wrong, whereas other nations, particularly Europe, divide the world into rich versus poor, strong versus weak. And the left have always been far less interested in fighting tyranny than they are in fighting economic inequality. Liberty animates America. Economic inequality animates Europe. So that is the difference right there. And the fact that this debate is happening right now in America suggests that a very significant portion of the American population is seeking to Europeanise America. And that is incredibly problematic because we see the European countries right now, they have failed socially, culturally and economically. And why anybody in America would want to go down that path is beyond me.
Go ahead.
Some of the stuff you say, Adam Brickley with Heritage, some of your speech sounds very similar to some things we've heard from another speaker who comes from another part of the English-speaking world, and that's Daniel Hannan, who comes here occasionally and talks about the need for American greatness. However, something he said last time he was here, something I'd want to run by you, is that as America descends further and further into big government and a more equality-based way of lifestyle, that increasingly the global guardians of liberty are Stephen Harper in Canada, Tony Abbott in Australia, and John Key in New Zealand. And I was wondering if you might comment on the idea that perhaps the best way of restoring American greatness is to begin taking the ideas from the rest of the non-European Anglosphere.
I appreciate that question. Look, I believe that America is a very different country, even to England and to Australia and to Canada and all of those places. It is true that there are conservative governments and leaders like Stephen Harper and Tony Abbott who are magnificent leaders for their respective countries. But I believe that America is a different place, and the cultural difference, I think, is what is most marked when we look at achievement. Achievement in other English-speaking countries is resented, whereas in America, achievement is something that is coveted. It is a very aspirational place. It is a place that seeks to climb, and you don't tend to get that feeling. Sure, there are always things that America can look to in other places, but this is, I believe, the only centre-right country. And I don't know how much America can learn from other places that have embraced radical multiculturalism, that have embraced political correctness, that have embraced all of those socialist ideas. And while those exist in America, they are certainly nowhere near as embedded as they are even in places like England, Australia and Canada.
Any more questions?
Yeah, real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so you're, as a fan of the, Tom Quilter here with, I'm from the House of Representatives. You say your fanhood of the United States and American exceptionalism began after 9/11, but before then and since then, when did, actually, well, just before 9/11, when did you first become a fan of the states? When, and through the, from the 80s, the 90s, today, what, when you looked over and season saw American culture and our movies and our TV and our television, were those things that also formed your very friendly opinion of us?
Sure. Thank you for the question, Tom, and you're absolutely right. I have admired America for as long as I can remember. I've had the American bug, so to speak, and I think that there are lots of people right around the world who are born burning for America, and I was one of them. I was just struck by American optimism, by its buoyancy, by its colour, its movement. It was such an exciting place, and it seemed to be a place where anything was possible. And that always drew me to America. That always was something that I wanted to be a part of. And as I grew up and my political opinions formed, and I recognised that America is much more than a country, it's a value system, and that it doesn't matter whether you're an American or not to feel American, so to speak. And I thought that was something incredible that I had to share and that I wanted to be a part of, because there is really no place like America, and we need to do everything we can to keep America the way that it has always been.
Nick, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us. We have copies of the American Boomerang for sale in the lobby. Anyone interested in speaking with Nick afterwards or having a book signed, he will be doing that right here on stage. Thank you again.
Thank you.